Hello, everybody, and happy Thursday. Thank you for being here with us on Mystical Awakenings at KGRA. We're excited for tonight. It's kind of a redo. We had our guest a few weeks back, and he happened to be on a great adventure playing with snakes and other exotic things, and didn't have really good internet. So
we brought him back.
We brought him back because we're just dying to talk to this guy. When we met him for the first time at Michigan UFO Contact, we knew we adored this person and wanted to get to know him more and know more about what he does.
Right.
So,
without further ado, Jason is an author, director, animal photojournalist who has traveled the world, immortalizing all kinds of people and their exotic wildlife companions. He also has a documentary series titled Searching for Sasquatch, which streams worldwide on platforms such as Tubi, Amazon Prime Video, and Plex TV. Jason has been investigating the lore of Bigfoot and other cryptids since 2019. With only a camera and a flashlight, Jason jumps headfirst into the darkness, determined to solve the mystery of Bigfoot. Please welcome Jason. How are you?
Yay!
Hello.
Just look at that great internet.
I know. This is great.
Thank you for coming back.
I'm so sorry about last time.
No it's, those things happen. And my feelings are always, things happen when they're meant to happen. And you weren't meant to be with us yet. So now you are. So look out.
Oh, that's good. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, thanks for showing up, man. So Jason, tell us how you got started in all this. How did you start in the film business, filming?
So I originally started as an event and wedding photographer. So many, many years ago, going back 20 years. I used to do a lot of weddings and events, and I loved it, meeting the people, and it was just a lot of fun. Those bridezillas are amazing. Let me tell you, doesn't get you stressed at all. And then one day, a guy approached me and said, "Hey, I have a little dog. I would like you to take photos of." Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that people would pay money to just get their dogs photographed. And I showed up. I did the photo shoot. It was amazing. The guy told me some stories about his little dog that really touched my heart. And I thought, I wonder if other people have similar stories. Right. So that started my Animal Adventures web series, which, so I would start photographing and interviewing people about the love that they have for their pets, their cats, their parrots, their dogs. And then one day a guy came to me and said, "Hey, I have a caiman, which is like a crocodile, right. Like 3.5, 4 feet long, caiman in a makeshift aquarium in his basement, and wanted me to come and photograph it for him." And I did. I went there. At first I told my friends and they didn't believe me. So I went and purchased a video camera and started filming behind the scenes of my photo shoots. And that's how I started my web series. And then, so I was like this close to this crocodile, caiman. I know they're completely different, but a lot of people don't know what caimans are.
They still have teeth.
They still have teeth. Oh, yeah. In fact, caiman can be a little bit more aggressive than crocodiles. And,
right. So was it scary?
Oh, you should see the video. Like it looks evil. Like it's not that big, but it would come up and you would be feeding it and it would come up and I'm like, taking photos, and I had the video camera over here. And funny story is the guy who owned the caiman, he told me when I showed up, do not get me on camera. And if I think for 1 second that you film me, I will break your camera.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, not a problem. Okay, I'll just make sure that it went down some. And the adrenaline rush was so amazing. But he also knew a lot of people who had exotic pets. So all of a sudden, I went from filming dogs and cats and parrots to filming like 13-foot pythons and
Wow. Yeesh.
people with like 400-pound tigers or 900-pound grizzly bears, monkeys, kangaroos, bobcats, a lady that had 5 wolves. And
Wow.
the thing is, no cages, right? That's my motto is if I'm going to photograph,
Right.
interview you on your pet, no cages. I have to be able to hug the animals, minus the guy with the 2 alligators, 10-foot alligators. Because
You didn't hug them?
yeah, no, I mean, it went well. I have almost all my fingers left.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you. I mean, did you encounter sometimes come across some animals that didn't like you, and was close encounters?
So the lady that had the 5 wolves,
Yeah.
she had just got in a younger one that was kind of like a teenager, and I've been in the pet industry for many years, and I'm in there. He's really friendly. The other wolf is, and they're pure wolves. They're not mixed at
Right.
any. They're pure wolves,
Right.
pure white and gray wolf and Arctic wolves. And so when a dog jumps up on you, the one thing you do with a dog is you kind of put your knee out. So when the dog jumps up, it just feels uncomfortable. You don't knee it in the chest. You just put your leg up, and the dog will actually, when it lunges up, it will hit your knee, and it will be like, oh, and that the dogs will learn not to jump up. I did that with the wolf, just because of the training I've had with dogs, and wolves are completely different than dogs, and they
Absolutely.
didn't like that, and it attacked me, and it nipped my finger and then grabbed my my
Wrist?
leather jacket, the one that
Oh.
that I wear in all my documentaries, the leather jacket, and I'm like wrestling with it, and the owner grabbed the back of the wolf and pulled him off, and then brave me just kind of ran out of the enclosure. She had a huge enclosure. I think it was like 9 acres of enclosement for
Right.
these wolves. So I ran out, and I was more upset about my leather jacket, thinking that it was torn apart. And I looked down, and there wasn't a mark on it, which I was so surprised.
Wow.
So that was yeah. And there's other times too. I mean, there's the monkeys wanted to eat me. I guess they thought I was a banana.
Right.
Yeah, kind of like a banana.
It's that blonde hair.
Yeah, the blonde hair and big nose. But yeah, the monkeys weren't that friendly. The lemurs were amazing. The lemurs were so friendly, and I'd put a fruit in my mouth, and I would, it would eat out of my.
Aw.
The monkeys probably would have took off my mouth and my
Right.
nose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that for many years, and then all of a sudden, 2019 rolled around, and when the Earth stopped breathing, I wasn't able to go and do my animal adventures anymore. I wasn't allowed to move around, so I did anyway. But I wasn't able to do my animal adventures because nobody wanted it done. And then I was sitting around with a buddy of mine and moping and venting to him, and he was like, "Jason, stop venting! Get a hold of yourself!" And then he said, "Why? I mean, heck, why don't you do something on Sasquatch? Maybe he's an animal." And we all laughed. Like, I laughed at it, and then right away I took a step back and thought, you might be onto something. Maybe Sasquatch is maybe like an animal. So there we go. I knew someone that had an encounter, and I went and met with them, and the story was pretty impressive. And then she led me to another person who had an encounter, and then I started filming just the interviews, and then it just kept going from there. They pointed me to the First Nations people. First Nation people told me about where these Sasquatch people live, and I'm only an hour and a half away from Harrison Hot Springs, which is the epicenter for Sasquatch sightings anywhere in the world.
Oh boy.
So, you know, I went way out by Headley, BC, which is like, I think about 3 hours from Vancouver. And I went way up into the mountains. And there I found a lake in the middle of the mountains. That was, someone had pointed me to this lake. And I, you know, found all these footprints that went right across this lake.
Wow.
And I had a drone. So I droned the lake, and you could clearly see all the footprints. And then on land, I could see the footprints with toes. So you're still not saying it was made by these creatures. I know people argue with me that maybe it was a moose. And I'm like, I don't know. Have you ever seen a moose walk through the water? I mean, they like the mud, not like they just pick up their feet.
They don't have toes, do they?
I was gonna say last
They
time
don't
you
have toes,
didn't
no,
have
but
toes.
they make a hell of a mess. It's like they just walk right through, and
Right.
they don't
Right.
pick up their feet,
Yeah.
you know, and they don't have toes either, unless they're mutated, which, you know, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
But that started it all, and then I launched my first documentary called Searching for Sasquatch, and it went viral. And next thing I knew, I had Bigfoot researchers from all over North America wanting me to come out and go out and explore with them.
Right.
And I've been to quite a few states all over North America. I just got back from Louisiana, filming a documentary on the Rougarou, Ozark Mountains, the Ozark Howler, the Dogman in northern Michigan. In fact, northern Michigan was, it was crazy. The
Yeah,
stuff,
we're a hot spot.
and I just got back from there, so I still have all the footage. I haven't even looked all through it, but it was nuts. The things that was happening there, I almost think it was a bit of paranormal that was happening at the same time.
Right.
But yeah,
Or is it all connected?
there's a possibility it could be connected. I have seen the red lights.
Yeah.
I've seen balls of light in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other story to itself, which is pretty amazing. I've been to Texas, and had some really incredible. That was one of the biggest experiences. They were all around us, howling and screaming and roaring, and it was.
And Jason, was that up by the northeast part towards Oklahoma, or what east part
of Texas? It was literally on the border of Louisiana and Texas.
Yeah.
Right out there, and it was it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The documentary, I was filming the whole thing, and there was so many the howls and the roars and the screams would go on for like an hour. And this is exactly what happened. It went on for so long that we kind of got numb to it. It was this is what was happening. So anyway, Todd. So we're going to be eating some marshmallows, and so look, another howl. So anyway, about those hamburgers and the fire. Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. Just like that. It was like it went on for so long that it was like. So anyway, shut up! I'm trying to talk. Bloody creatures. Anyway, Todd. It was. And at one point, they were in the forest. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. We drove deep into the forest on ATVs to a graveyard that was in the middle of the forest. And when we got there, for like 35 minutes, 40 minutes, did howls and we did wood knocks, and we were just looking around. And then at one point there was a fence. Like no, it was more of a gate, and on the gate it said, "Don't cross. Violators will be, prosecuted." And of course, me being Jason, I walked around it. I walked around the fence. I went on the other side, and it was like a 2-track or whatnot that led to somewhere.
Yeah.
And as soon as I crossed the fence, there was something walking in the forest. Like I heard it crack, crack, crack. And I'm like, guys, there's something in the forest. There's something walking. And so everyone runs around and they have the thermals out. And I go running into the forest because I wanted to get close to get the audio of it walking, which I did. I wasn't expecting to try and capture what it was walking. I just wanted to get the audio.
Right.
And I hear it on the audio. I could hear it walking. One of the guys, he had the thermal, and he's looking what he thinks is a bunny that's on the ground until it stood up. Like it stood up, and you could see it was a figure that was naked. It was on thermal, so it was like white hot with red, and you could see that there was no clothes whatsoever. And yeah, so either it was a giant 9-foot, 900-pound cryptid, or it was a perverted landowner watching us from the forest.
A very large one.
I do know that I went to that, and showed myself, and you could clearly see my clothes. You could see it on therm, even though it was all thermal. You could see that you could see some of my clothes. So yeah, it was interesting. That was a good night.
I'm interested now. Get back to this gated thing. How large was the gated area? Or
Well, it was just, imagine someone that has what do you call it? It was a kind of a pole that went across and it locked, and then there was just a gate that just had a sign saying do not cross or do not enter.
Right.
And there was a little path that you could just walk around it.
Oh.
We didn't have to break nothing or any of the sort. Just walk around.
Right.
I don't even know why it had it up, because a little path right there. Just
well, yeah, that's what I'm interested in, because I wonder. I've always wondered that maybe the government has, or somebody has, places that are set aside for some cryptids, so they can roam there free. I don't know. I mean, in California,
I mean, that's a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if they have areas that is closed off.
Yeah.
Where they've closed off an area that is, I don't know, 20 miles by 20 miles radius.
Right.
These creatures to live without being disturbed. The only thing is, I've seen a lot of military, abandoned military bases where they have the big fence up.
Right.
Where it's circling it. The thing I don't see is there's no electricity. Like there's no electric fence. Like, there isn't. It doesn't seem like they're trying to keep them in. They're just trying to keep us out. Right. Because obviously these creatures can just pretty much almost step over these fences.
Yeah.
So it's, I believe that these creatures that we are experiencing, I think they're either young, like teenagers, and just like us as teenagers. You remember when you were a teenager, you used to climb out of, the window of your place to go and, wreak havoc with your friends late at night.
What do you mean I can't go out there? I'm going out there.
You run for your life, and you trip and hit your chin, and
Yeah.
God, that was good times. But yeah, and I think these are young Bigfoots, or they're adults Bigfoots that have been kicked out of the clan.
Yeah.
And are trying to find its way. They might be the ones that are peeking into the windows.
Right.
But I've been researching Bigfoot for about 6 years, going on 7. And all these places I've gone to, I've found very similar tree structures, similar experiences. And, the tree structures are incredibly weird.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't understand what they're there for.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're a marker.
Yeah.
Because some of them are just not weaved thick enough to keep them dry. And some of them are not big enough for a 9-foot Bigfoot to even
Get in, yeah.
get into it.
I'll have to send you some pictures, Jason. I got around here. Pretty amazing. I can't explain them, you know.
Yeah.
But they were definitely intelligently put together. But out in the middle of nowhere, why I don't know. But so
Yeah. I even found a nest. Like I was with a bunch of researchers, and this guy that owned this land, his land, he has a huge, giant property, like I think it's, I don't, like 9 or 10 acres, and then it backs onto the state forest, and
yeah.
he was experiencing these tree structures and in different sounds. So he hired us to go out with him and show us some of the structures. And there was a giant nest, 7 feet in diameter, just sitting on the ground.
With pine, was it made of pine?
It was made of sticks. It looked like a giant bird nest.
Oh wow!
Giant bird nest.
Oh wow!
And it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like soft in the middle. I mean, there was still sticks in the middle, but we did find maybe saliva, maybe some hair, and we sent it away for DNA to see if eDNA to see if maybe something. So we're just waiting to see what happens. But I took lots of video. That's a great thing about being a filmmaker and going after, looking for evidence of these creatures, is I'm always rolling and always, But some of the incredible stuff that's happened, I didn't have time to push the button.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, like you, I've seen prints. I've heard the howls. I've seen, those, but I've not seen one yet. But we were out doing an investigation. I turned to her one night. We were out. I said, "What would you do if we turned around and one was right in front of you?" I said, "I'd probably pass out and poop my pants."
Yeah.
But, so you're out there looking, but what would you really do? If one was right, standing right in front of you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So a lot of times, what's happening now is people will come up to me at conferences. They'll come up and they'll almost whisper to me about seeing these creatures, or they don't want people to know. And this one guy walked up to me, and a lot of times the pictures are kind of blurry, or they're they zoom in too close. The guy comes up to me, he goes close, he goes, "Hey, I just want to show you a photograph." So I was out in the forest, and I felt like something was around me, and I felt like it was right behind me. And I just want to show you this photo. And so he took his phone and he reached up and he took a picture from behind. He's like, "I just don't want people to see this, but I just want to show it to you." And he showed it to me. I'm like, for the love of God. I don't know if he photoshopped it or whatever it was, but man, there was this fucking huge creature standing literally behind him.
Wow.
Like we're talking a foot behind him. And it was his head. And the head was like, it was huge. And it was just, you see the eyes, the brow, the nose, the mouth, and it was just standing, and it looked like it was 9 feet. But the head was like that. It was just over his shoulder. And
wow.
And I'm looking at this going, I'm looking at him, and I'm like looking at the picture, and I'm like, man, if this is real, this is incredible. But he doesn't want people to like think he's completely crazy and nuts.
Yeah, we get that all the time in here. People coming in, they don't want to talk about it, but I got to take that back. We were in Ohio, down checking out Serpent's Mound, and we were staying out in this house out in the middle, out in the woods, and we saw this thing come out of the woods, and there was a fence post, and it was probably a football field and a half away, but we could tell it was a bipedal something, but and it was dark. So we ended up walking to the post the next day or whatever, and the post was 5 foot tall, and this thing,
it was well above that.
Yeah, it was at least half above that, So, I know there's a lot of sightings down in southeast Ohio too, but yeah. So you mean I always tell people this, Jason. All the UFOs and all the Bigfoot pictures, only one of them has to be real. Only one of them.
Yeah.
I know there's fake ones out there. I know people Photoshop. I know people use the AI and all that, but not all of them. Not
Yeah.
all
Well,
of
the AI is getting more advanced, so
them.
give it 2 years,
Yeah.
and the AI will have corrected itself where it will actually be able to do, you know, perfect video, clear, make the Sasquatch look as real as possible, which kind of sucks,
Yeah.
right? Because after they do that,
Nobody's going to believe anything.
it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
it won't matter if someone walks up to a Sasquatch and just films it, because no one's going to believe it. Then you truly will have to have a body, like 100%.
Right.
Like, give it 2 years from now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, it's still not as advanced yet to the point of, looking 100% real.
But it'll
So
figure it out.
someone could still film a Sasquatch, and if it's clear enough, and you do it right,
Mhm.
people would believe it. But not in 2 years. In 2 years,
Right.
you're going to need to have a living body or find a dead body to
Mhm.
show.
That's another thing. People say, "Well, why haven't we found a body?" Well, let me ask you this: Do humans leave their people's bodies laying around? No, and they
Yeah,
probably don't either. So
yeah, exactly, right. Like,
yeah, I mean, they probably take care of their dead. So I'm going to ask you this now. There's all kinds of theories out there about what Sasquatch is. I just wondered what you think it is.
well, I mean, I believe
It's a general question.
there's been too many people who have come forward saying they've shot a Bigfoot and said it bled. So potentially it's a living, breathing creature.
Yeah.
Now, does it go through portals? Does it, go in and out of dimensions and stuff? That I can't tell you.
Right.
I haven't seen a portal yet. I have seen odd red lights after seeing an unidentified creature staring at us and then runs off, and then all of a sudden there's a big red light. I've seen that in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
I've, I don't know. I do think it's a living, breathing creature. I did interview a police officer that she was coming back from fishing, and she saw a UFO, and it sped off, and then all of a sudden there was a flash of light, and then there was two giant Bigfoot-like creatures walking towards her.
Right.
And she hit the gas and took off. Traumatized her. Never talked about it for like 10 years or 15 years. And I had to literally twist her arm to, get her to speak. Those stun guns, I'm telling you, speak, speak. But, the reason why we don't find bones may be, and this is only a theory, there is a vulture out there called the bearded vulture that actually eats bones, full bones.
Yeah.
It'll swoop down, and if all the other critters have eaten all the meat, it will literally swallow the bones.
Mhm.
And it lives in the Himalayas. So that could be a possibility why the Yeti, they haven't found the body of the Yeti. I mean, it's only a theory, but when I think about Bigfoot and some of the stuff that people think that they do, like camouflage, I think about, okay, knowing animals, is there anything in the wild that truly has ultimate camouflage? And yes, there is. The cuttlefish or the octopus is one of the master of disguise.
Right.
The walking stick bug,
Yeah.
the chameleon,
Mhm.
right? They have the master of disguise.
Right.
So maybe a Sasquatch has. So the cuttlefish almost goes translucent. It has a way of camouflage where it almost cloaks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe it is a possibility that Bigfoot has that kind of ability,
Yeah.
right?
Do you? I think I asked you this when you were here in Michigan. Do you know Richard Rensbury? He's an author, a Bigfoot author. He lives in Michigan.
No.
Anyway, if you check him out, he's had encounters all his life, but he goes into. He claims that he was going into a different kind of a dimension, and then that's where he meets him and talks to him, and and
Yeah.
then he gets confused, and he's somewhere else. He's walking this path that he's always walked, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden he's somewhere else, and so yeah, you might like those books, and check. I'll send it to you.
I did talk to a lady once that said that she would pass, she'd be walking in the forest and she would pass through a portal and be in the forest. And I'm like, huh, it looks like I do that every time I go out there.
Mhm.
Is walk through the forest, pass through a portal, and I'm still in the forest.
Right. And sometimes, I've heard stories of people who felt that they did walk into a portal, but they had no way of really knowing this other than something felt different, it felt off, and they were seeing things that you would not normally see in
Yeah.
the third dimension.
So there is a symptom. Have you ever been driving, just driving your car, just da, 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 and then you drove for like miles and you don't remember that? You don't remember driving and passing all this time. Have you ever done that?
Oh yeah.
That is a part of hypnotism.
Yeah.
It's a conscience that your mind does.
Yeah.
So there could be a possibility that it, depending on how sleep deprived you are, that maybe you're walking through the forest and you just go into a trance because you're so exhausted or so tired, and you just walk, and then you come out of it and don't remember that you
Right.
walked that far. It's a possibility. Like I said, everything I say is more of a theory than anything else.
Hmm. Right. Right. And it's not unheard of to go into a meditative state, the brainwave state as you're walking.
Yeah.
And that's why, they literally have a walking meditation because,
Yeah.
you get into that whole theta state
Yeah,
and you don't
exactly.
really know
It's
what's
like
going
locking
on.
yourself.
But
Yeah. I just hope that, the next time that I'm walking through the forest and I go into a trance and I don't remember, I hope that I come out of it and there's like millions of dollars worth of gold in front of me. I mean, that would be great. That'd be worth the
wouldn't that
trance.
be nice? So, how long did you investigate until it really hit you that these creatures are truly there?
Well, here's the thing. When I first started, I was a 20% believer. I kind of was going in partially joking, like I didn't really think that these creatures could be real. And after 6.5 years, I'm up to 50% believer. And the reason why I'm not up to 100% believer is because I haven't had a daytime sighting.
Right.
I have seen some crazy stuff and captured crazy stuff on camera
At night.
over the years in the darkness of the forest.
Yeah.
Like there is something out there. There are creatures that are looking at you from behind trees,
Hmm.
and there are creatures that are howling and screaming and roaring at you. Do you want to hear a roar that was captured
Sure.
on audio in Minnesota on the
Absolutely.
Red Lake Indian Band Reservation?
Yeah.
So maybe you can tell me what you think this creature could be, and it's not a chipmunk.
Wow.
You hear
That's
that
a
last
chip.
bit when it took
Yeah.
that deep breath.
That's a chipmunk. I'm not feeding it peanuts. Ooh.
Yeah, and
That's
that's just one. That's like there's another one that's a minute long. that has like 5 of them all going on at it
Oh, wow.
all around. It's just going completely nuts.
Mhm.
You want to hear that one?
Yeah,
Yes.
love to.
So that one is. Sounds injured or hurt.
Hmm.
Trust me, it's coming. Wait. Here it comes. This is like 30 feet in the forest.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
And so
Wow.
there was a primate, a specialist that listened to this, and there's a part in it where one of the creatures roars and then goes "Hur, hur, hur," like it goes "Hur, hur, hur, hur." And she said, "There's no animal on this planet that can do that except for gorillas, like primates." So
Yeah.
listen
Mhm.
to this. I'll show you when it does. You hear that? It goes.
Yeah.
"Hur, hur, hur." You hear that?
Yeah,
That's yeah. It
It's
goes.
interesting because there's more than one, so you can
Yeah,
tell
there's
that
multiple.
there's
Like there was
possibly a
many
family or some or something.
something.
But there's different tones there.
Yeah,
So
and you hear that long howl too. That
yeah,
long howl.
that we have heard. We have a recording.
long
like
haul.
that.
Yeah, we've got that on
Um,
recording. We recorded it for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
But that's not something. I mean, I have not traveled the world like you have, but I know in our area in Michigan, I grew up, my whole life being in the forest, and I've heard all kinds of animals, but I've never heard that
yeah,
until a few
yeah.
years back.
It's pretty crazy, and yeah, there's no doubt that there's things in the forest.
Mhm.
I, I go after other cryptids, not just Bigfoot.
yeah,
I'm about to do a documentary on Mothman and the
right.
Jersey Devil.
Dog man.
The flying dinosaurs of New Mexico is something I'm gonna go and explore.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah, there's even film of pterodactyls. I don't know if they're real or not, but they're flying around.
Exactly, right there. There's a First Nations a reservation in New Mexico, and that's where we're going to go explore because they say they see them all the time. So I'm going to pinpoint some place where there's lots of high ground
Right.
because pterodactyls they seem to need they need to like kind of jump off to get the perfect to fly
Right.
instead of just when they hit the ground or when they touch the ground it's a little
Mhm.
harder for them to take off.
You know why you can't hear a pterodactyl in the bathroom?
How come?
Because the P is silent.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I'm just I tell you.
We need Bill with his drums now.
Anyway, so getting back to this, yeah, I mean, it's amazing that those sounds. I mean, that's you were there when that happened, right?
No, I wasn't there when it happened, but I have heard those sounds. So the story goes, it was a First Nations man, an old man,
right.
who recently just died a year ago,
Okay.
and he recorded that in his backyard, which his backyard, the forest comes right up, and there's 800,000 acres of,
Man.
Oh, wow.
of forest, untouched. Nobody goes back there because they're just too scared of these Bigfoot creatures. When they hunt by going on in the back of their vehicle, right? They definitely don't go into the forest at night.
Right, right.
So when he captured this, he was so scared. He never went back into the forest
Oh
again.
God, yeah.
And he barely left his house.
Right.
And, we tried so hard to try and interview him. And they gave the audio to the she squatchers, to Jen.
Okay.
Turn, we went to the area to investigate. And yeah, we heard the howls there. We found tree structures. Yeah, it was a lot of fun and scary at the same time.
Mhm.
But yeah, and if anybody wants to watch the adventure, you can find it on Tubi under Searching for Sasquatch 10, The Minnesota Roars.
Episode 10.
10. Okay. I can tell you that our friend Rob took you to some places here, um, those rings and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, he took it. Now, I noticed I don't know when you were there what happened, but I noticed the second ring, all these trees were tied over. They're still alive. They were tied over. But I took a recording in there and set it on that rock. And it sounded, there was a big rock in the middle. Remember that? I don't know if you remember that. But anyway, for about 5 minutes, there's something happens. There's a waterfall. There's these knocks you hear, and birds that I've never heard before on this recording. And Rob has it. He could probably send it to you. It's really weird, but
Wait, so you heard what sounded like a waterfall?
yeah,
On the recording. We
on the
didn't hear
recording.
Well, maybe the creature's peeing.
You're right. That's
Right.
true. That's true. But
I
you
mean,
know,
they're so big, it probably would sound like a waterfall.
it probably would.
If you listen closer, you might see some salmon jumping up it.
well, what I was thinking was, maybe there was some kind of a portal in that area. That circle, maybe
Yeah.
because it was claimed to be maybe built like 300 AD. So who knows what kind of knowledge?
Well, it's when we went there to this ring, it clearly was a complete circle
Right.
with a big rock right in the middle of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was in an undisclosed location in Minnesota 5 days ago, and we went deep into the forest. We drove into the forest about 4.5 miles, and then we hiked in about 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles. And it was, as soon as we stepped out of the truck, something crashed through the forest and just ran off.
Right.
Then we continued walking down this 2-track. So the road ends in a roundabout, and at some point I thought we were going to get stuck in the sand, because as we're driving, the path that we were driving on was like very sandy, and then it came to this big roundabout in the middle of the forest.
Mhm.
And then there was a barricade, and then we just kind of walked over and walked along, and then at one point we turned and went into the forest, and we were looking around off where there was no trail. We were making a trail, like basically walking through, and then we kept finding these mounds, these giant mounds, and these big rocks.
Right.
And then it dawned on us that maybe this was an Indian mounds.
Right.
And then all hell broke loose. Like, it was crazy. There was creatures watching us from behind trees. You could see the eyes shine.
Right.
We heard howls way in the distance, and then the coyotes would howl. We could hear them walking on either side of us. And at one point, we found the strangest tree structures, and one that I called the spider web tree structure, which it looked like a spider web. And underneath the tree structure was these logs. They were probably about 3 inches in diameter, and they were placed almost like runes like placed almost like symbols.
Right.
Mhm.
And it was really neat. So here we are, we're looking, and so we're filming and looking at the tree structure, which, as you obviously can see, was definitely built with thumbs. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, let's get going. And I took a step and I almost tripped, and I looked down and we were standing on those tree, like these logs that were placed in like rune, kind of almost like symbols.
Right.
Mhm.
That's when I knew, okay, this is definitely not naturally made, because there's always that doubt. And when
Right.
I go in, I
Yeah.
go in trying to debunk it to see, you know, if it was maybe man-made, but
Right.
it was. And then David Dominique got growled at, so he was about 20 feet in front of us, and something grunted at him, and he stopped in his track. He's like, "Did you guys hear that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I didn't hear it." And then we saw some eyes shine, so we ran towards it. And then I realized that these creatures was luring us deeper into the forest. So I stopped everyone. I'm like, okay, you know what? I have a feeling that they're trying to lure us deeper into the forest. Let's get back. And we totally got turned around. If it wasn't for Laura, um, we probably, she had a very good um, directional skills, and she was able to get us back onto the 2-track. But that was really neat. And then as we walked out, they kind of followed us out. You could hear them cracking. And at one point, it stuck its head out in front of us, and the eye shine was almost like headlights. And then
Yeah.
it ducked back behind the some bushes. Yeah, it was really neat. We were all like, worrying about
Mhm.
if creatures are going to harm us.
Great.
At one point, something ran up on me. Like, I'm looking, I'm filming, and suddenly I'm like, ah, because I heard it go da 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 da, and then it kind of hit my back, and I turned and there was nothing there. And
Mhm.
instantly, as I turned and go, oh my gosh, it felt like something was running up on me. Matt, that was on this side of me, he jumped too, because something came and kind of pushed on his knapsack, on his backpack that he
Yeah.
was wearing. So I almost think there was some kind of a paranormal aspect was going on too.
Mhm.
Which, if this was Indian mounds,
Yeah.
maybe the spirits were kind of choked that we were,
Mhm.
walking on them or around them, because we didn't realize at first,
Yeah.
we didn't know what these mounds were, but we
Right.
found these giant rocks that just look out of place. So yeah, that was exciting.
Whew. Lots
Good
of
thing is I was
evidence.
filming the whole thing. Like, my camera was rolling. I caught a lot of it on.
Oh, nice. So can people find that on Tubi as well?
Yeah, it will. They will be.
Oh,
This is only
yay.
5 or 6 days ago, so I still have to. It's going to be a while. I have 5 documentaries I'm working on at the moment.
Wow. Wow. Well, I can't wait until they're out. So,
Yes.
do you have all of your stuff in one area that people can find, or do they need
Well,
to go to
if,
multiple
if people
sites?
want to follow me and want to see what I've been doing, you can go on TikTok, which is called Searching Sasquatch, and then on Instagram, it's called Searching for Sasquatch. Uh, you can also, like I said, if you just Google my name, Jason Kenzie, Bigfoot, or Jason Kenzie Animal Adventures, they will be able to find my website. I have a searchingforsasquatch.ca website that people can find me there. I have a Facebook page called Searching for Sasquatch that people can find me there. They can see what I've been doing.
Right.
Um, um, I do have a place where they can donate. It's called the Me Foundation. So, okay, that was a bad joke. But anyway, uh, but yeah, if people want to see my animal adventures, you just Google Jason Kenzie animal adventures, and you'll find there's 400 behind the scenes of my animal adventures, and you'll see kind of the fun and all the good stuff that I do with the animals, this fun stuff. And
Yeah,
then,
you have great stuff out there. I'll tell you, after I met you, I had to stalk you a bit, and
She does that all the time.
I do. I'm
I
telling
know,
you.
excuse me, do you have the restraining order on Deb? Yes, it's okay. That's good. That's good. It's been in the military because I'm looking at her now and she's very,
Okay.
Well, you're too late because I got all kinds of information, but you have some fantastic stuff out there. You really do. And a lot of it made me go, oh my God, this guy is totally insane. But
yeah. Yeah, I also
I love it.
published a comic book, graphic novel called Searching for Sasquatch and the Hidden Treasure of Bigfoot Valley,
Yay.
which is, that may or may not be me. I'm not
Okay.
but we got the she squatches in there. We
Right.
got Jen and Jenna and
Great girls.
got
Nice.
Tammy over here, and then there's Todd Parsons there, and then there's David Dominique. So people can find that on Amazon.
Yeah.
I also have 4 children's books also that people can find. There's
I didn't
these are them
stalk you
here.
now.
Let me just find them. So it's called Adventures of Little JJ.
Oh
So
my
this one
gosh.
is Rescue to Cryptid Island. So you can see there's a female Bigfoot. There's Loch Ness Monster. And then there's a little Ghost Boy. And then over here is Moth Boy and the little First Nations girl. And you have to try and, rescue this little cryptid and try and save their family and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I wanted it to be very colorful, right? Very
Wow.
colorful so people can.
Yeah.
It's for kids and adults. And then this one here is the quest to save Bigfoot.
Oh,
So it has
nice.
the Sasquatches in there as we're all children and and then same thing. Got lots of pictures for people to oh, there's me and then before I did that I did Adventures of Little JJ, Under the Sea. So there's the octopus and stuff. So and then just a lot of fun and I wanted to teach kids about not being scared of the forest and that
Right.
forest isn't going to hurt you. And I wanted to teach them about kids. So it's a lot of fun. And I've
For you. That's awesome,
I
Jason.
won a lot of awards for my Bigfoot documentaries. A lot of international film awards. I have this one here that I won. I don't know if people can see that,
Nice.
Yay.
but that one's
Nice.
with Sasquatch and
Good job.
so there's quite a I was really honored to actually win. I won 21 international film awards. In fact, just 4 days ago, I won 3 more
Nice.
international film awards. Yeah, for best
Wonderful.
Bigfoot documentary. So that was
Nice.
Well,
Yeah, we are
We're
like out of time. We do
Sorry.
have to go, but we thank you for being here. We adore you. We want more, so we're going to have you back if you'll come back.
Yeah, of course. And I want to say thank you to you guys for having me on here and all the people. Hopefully they found interesting.
Everybody thought it
Oh
was great.
yeah, everybody, lots of comments, lots of love. People are totally thrilled. So
Thank you.
we will do this again. Everybody
Okay.
have a fantastic week. We love you all. Until we meet again, may all of your awakenings
See you
be
guys.
mystical.
Bye-bye now.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.